Hey cactus friends, it's Jenny from Cookie's Cacti, and I am the worst cactus grower in the entire universe. And it is no exaggeration, because what do we see in front of us? Dead seedlings. These are all Copiapoa, and something went really wrong within the last week or so. These are really sad. They are my biggest seedlings, and now they're dead. This one's really sad. This is Copiapoa heseltoniana. It's one of my oldest seedlings that I sowed back in August of 2021, so it will not be seeing its third birthday this year. And you can see that discoloration. Sorry, I can't get too close with this camera, but that dark discoloration is rot. And the weird thing is, when I squeeze the roots, it doesn't feel that bad. It's really weird. Now, some folks may say, are you sure that's heseltoniana? It doesn't look like it. Well, that's what it was labeled on the Mesa Garden label. Perhaps it's a hybrid of some sort, but that's how it was labeled. It's so sad. You guys have been seeing this seedling since like my first Copiapoa videos. It's so sad. This one is a Copiapoa Calderana Lembekia var Magnifica. It's from, I think, one of my first batches of Copiapoa Lembekia var Magnifica. It was my biggest seedlings, and this has also showed up in my previous Copiapoa seedling videos, and you can see this one I pulled last night. It is fully rotted. This is Copiapoa grandiflora. I think it's probably one of my biggest seedlings. Clearly rotted. Oh my gosh. This is, I think, maybe Copiapoa pendulina, coquimbana of some sort. Look at those gorgeous spines, but it is so dead. And it was like one of my biggest coquimbana or pendulina seedlings, and it's dead. So what went wrong? Well, I know what started it maybe. I have some theories that folks on Instagram have sent me, but we'll never know 100% what went wrong. So discouraging. Let me go over to the other seedlings and show you. Okay, so what happened was, about a week ago on Sunday, I watered everything, and I gave it a really deep water. And then I said, why am I watering these seedlings? I just watered them a week ago. It's not that dry yet. Then I freaked out. First, what happened was that in my tall pots, one seedling died. It rotted. That freaked me out. And then what I did was I ended up panic repotting the biggest seedlings and my favorite seedlings. So that is the worst thing. So I would say probably about a third of these seedlings were repotted in that panic session. So what I did, I dumped the seedling out. I put the seedlings in trays. I put them like either underneath these benches or by my patio, so they were out of the sun, and I let them dry. I think one set I dried overnight. The other set I dried over 2 nights. And then I got all that soaking wet soil that they were sitting in, and I dried them out in the sun, like out in the yard. And then once the soil was, I think, mostly dry, it was just slightly damp, because I always repot in slightly damp soil. And then the first seedling showed signs of problems. I think probably just a day or two after that panic repot. It's one of those big seedlings I just showed you a moment ago. And it struck me as odd, but it didn't register. Until yesterday, I came home from the show and sale, and I came to take a look, and I saw that something was wrong with 2 more seedlings. And then today I saw something wrong with another seedling. So those were the 4 seedlings that we just looked at a moment ago. So the question is, what the heck happened? One of the theories that some of the folks in Phoenix were messaging me on Instagram is that we're already in the highs of about 100 degrees, at least the last week. And if not highs in the hundreds, and like in the 90s, high 90s or so. Although today, it's actually not that hot. I think high maybe in the upper 80s, low 90s or so. But they said that Copiapoa are really heat sensitive. So you want to avoid repotting when it's this hot outside. And I had no idea, because you as my audience have seen me repot Copiapoa so many times. I mean, I have multiple videos showing me repotting seedlings, and I've never had a problem. However, this is the first summer for like 99.9% of these seedlings. I think for actually all the seedlings that are out here, it might be their first summer. There might be a handful that were actually out since before, or like spring a year ago, but the majority of these, this is their first summer outside. So I can say perhaps I've never repotted seedlings in, you know, outdoors in hot season. So maybe that's why, from repotting while it's too hot. So now I'm like freaked out. I don't want to repot anything now, at least until it cools down back in like October. Like some of that color, this is Weganectia, that color looks weird. So now here's the problem. I repotted my biggest seedlings and my favorite seedlings. So as today and tomorrow and the week goes on, I think I'm going to be facing even more heartbreak, because by the time that I see something's wrong, it's already too late. Like the plant's already rotting. When I see, the color doesn't look right, or the base of it looks soft, it's usually when it's too late. This makes me feel really discouraged as a grower, but there's one thing that keeps me going, is that seedling shade house has many, many more seedlings, especially the ones that we grew from A Lazy Way to Grow Cactus from seed. So, you know, I have to keep going. But from this experience, I need to know what went wrong so that it doesn't happen again. You know, folks on Instagram are asking, how long did you dry out the plants before you repotted? The answer is 1 to 2 nights, and it's 1 to 2 days. It's extremely dry here, so they were drying out really fast. Some folks are asking, you know, how often did you, or how soon did you water after you repotted? I didn't water them. They started rotting within like a day or two after repotting. So my second hypothesis is that the seedlings that died perhaps were already compromised before I did the panic repotting. You know, I was panic repotting because I thought I overwatered them, and I probably did. And it's possible that some of them were already rotting before I did that panic repot, and perhaps a repot just shocked them even more and made them die even faster. Oh, y'all have seen bug problems, bird attacks, fungus. Now it's like grower error, temperature. I mean, it just doesn't end. I have a feeling all the ones that I don't care about as much, that I didn't touch, that they're going to be perfectly fine. I repotted this one, this one, this one, all of these. I think almost all of these. I think I repotted all 4 of these Olivana. I repotted all of my oldest Copiapoa, which is freaking me out. I potted all of those. I think I'm in big trouble. I'm either going to sign off now, or I may just like continue documenting the destruction as the days go on. It has now been, I think, 5 days or so since the last time I was in here showing you the seedling loss of my Copiapoa. Well, the losses continue. This may be hard to see because I can't get too close, but you can see that the colors of some of these seedlings truly don't look right. And that's because they're either dying or they're dead. There's somebody back here as well. You can see, am I pointing at the right place? Oh, right there. Hopefully I'm pointing at the right place. So why don't we move these dead ones over with the rest of them? Man. Here's the previous dead ones. This grandiflora is still alive, otherwise the other 2 large ones already died. This is that fish hook tool from way back when. I use this all the time. There's still more. This is really sad. I wasn't even caring about this that much because it was so weird looking, and look, I killed it by repotting. I feel like this one is also on its way out, so I'm gonna come back in another few days and check. The strange thing is I still see signs of new growth at the top, but the rest of the color doesn't look right. And then when I take a stick and I poke at the skin and the body, it just has a lot of give, like it's kind of squishy. It's not completely out yet though. See if there's anybody else here. I won't be surprised if this cranziana dies as well. It's another one of the big ones that I repotted. Basically, and then this grandiflora probably eventually will die as well, who knows. Some of this humilis, I'm not so sure. This one, and this one, I don't know. So I'll be out probably checking in another few days to see who else doesn't look right. You know, these trays used to be full, and you can see these empty spaces that are showing up. So here's an example where my intention of repotting was to save the seedlings, and instead I ended up killing them instead. Just absolutely devastating. Now a lot more of these were repotted during that session as well, so I'm just like, just waiting, basically. On the bright note, you can see that some of my seedlings have started flowering. So the humilis and the olivana have already started flowering. My dream of being able to pollinate my own seedlings have already come true, so I pollinated these two. These are also amongst that whole set of repotting, so I don't know if they're gonna die. They might. So, and then these guys are about 2 years and 4 months old. So the humilis, which is 85.05 from the Mesa Garden seed catalog number, and the olivana, which is 85.873, those guys started flowering at 2 years and 4 months old. Now I'm just waiting to see who else is gonna die from that shock. This is another one. This is cinerescens. Another big one that I repotted in that panic repot. I don't have a lot of faith that it's gonna stay alive. The color has always been really dark like that, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back in a little bit and check again. Let's go look at all the dead ones so far. This is everybody who has died. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plants that I have lost. It has now been about 3 weeks since the last time I did the update video on murdering my Copiapoa seedlings. As you can see, those 10 seedlings that were in my previous update have all dried up, and that last grandiflora had died as well, so now it's part of that pile. There were at least 3 other seedlings that also died. I actually tried to rescue a couple by grafting, but the scion ended up killing the graft stock, which was interesting, which I don't know if that just means that the scion was, already dying, but I tried. So here we are. These are the survivors of those big Copiapoa that I repotted. The ones that survived, surprisingly, this one is still alive. Wagonectii. I don't know if it will stay alive, but it doesn't look super happy, but it is really hot in Phoenix now. Like something happened within just this past week where the heat and sun intensity was just turned up several notches. It's only 105 degrees today, but it's been about 110 or so for the past, week. This cranziana is still alive as of now, but again, I don't know how long it will, maybe it's already dying and I just don't know. So, it's been almost a month since the initial die-off happened in this whole fiasco. These are the remaining larger seedlings that I had repotted and have actually managed to survive. But we don't know. Like this, I have no idea. And it's so hot now. And I heard that Copiapoa don't like heat. But these guys have no choice. They have to be out here. And continuing on the flowering of my seedlings, you can see that even more humulus shows spent blooms. Olivana also continuing to bloom. See that. I've been trying to only pollinate between the same species or plants of the same species, but sometimes I'll get a flower that opens and there's no other, same species flower to pollinate with, so I will I will take whatever I can get. So, giant Jenny bee. Like right now I've got this humulus that's in bloom, but I don't have any other humulus. So this is the only choice I have. Hey, we take what we can get, right? So once again, the majority of these seedlings, actually I would say almost all of the Copiapoa seedlings, it's their first summer outside. It is not even summer yet and it's been pretty nasty. Uh-oh, this doesn't look good. It's Copiapoa calderona lembeckii. That means that these seedlings are continuing to die off. Dang it. The color is completely wrong. Now, at this point, I don't know if this is the repotting that's causing the death anymore. It could be something else. I'm having a really difficult time figuring out watering for these seedlings because the ones that were in there from last summer, I water them like any other cactus once a week in the hottest time of the summer. So I thought that it would be the same for these guys, but I don't think it's the case. And unfortunately, the only way I can find out is through trial and error. Look at this. Let me try zooming in and post. Sorry, it's not going to look very good. The color is completely wrong. Oh, terrible. Just terrible. See, it's not rotting from the bottom up. It's kind of showing signs from the top. This is not salvageable. And this was one of the seedlings that I repotted. And I have since watered them maybe once, like really lightly, and then I did give them a heavy water this past weekend just because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. People tell me not to water, but I watered in the past, so this is where you're seeing me stumble along, and unfortunately I think we're going to be losing a lot of plants this summer because I just don't know what I'm doing, and something like this happening tells me that it's still not over. The die-off is not over. Darn it. You see how the soil is damp? Well, I don't know what to say. I obviously don't know what I'm doing. Darn it. So many things can go wrong. This is my weirdo Copiapoa. There's a chance this won't make it. These are my oldest Copiapoa lembeckii. They're nearing 3 years old as of late August. I don't know if they're going to survive. They were part of that panic repotting group as well. I feel like these smaller ones are sticking around longer, but they may die off at any moment. And I really don't know what I'm doing. So here's Jenny having fully lost confidence on growing Copiapoa up in Phoenix. Okay, let's actually not end on a sad note. Let's look at these plants that actually love the heat. And look at that tephro cactus. I don't know if this is geometricus or not. Look at that. And then my other Phoenix heat lovers, Areocarpus, the Astrophytum. I don't really worry about them as much. I can tell when they're thirsty as usual, squeeze test. Squeeze, squeeze. This is Cookie's cacti. Signing off. Oh, and the mammillaria too. They don't mind the heat. And the saguaro. They like getting watered fairly regularly when they're young like this. But who knows, I may hit another stage of their life where I continue caring for them in exactly the same way and then they start to die off. Confidence shot. Who's gonna die next? Darn it. Is this one dying? Are these dying? Maybe. This just makes me think, enjoy these plants while you can. You never know when they're gonna go. So you might as well enjoy them because loss is just part of this hobby. One of my oldest Lembeckii KK70s. Is Weirdo dying? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. This is one of my oldest Lembeckii as well. Can't tell if it's dying or not. It actually shows active sign of growth. I don't know if you can see that kind of greener growth from the top. I don't know. I'm used to watering these ones fairly regularly, but it seems like maybe at this age they don't need it. Uncharted territory. You see I have my giant fan there? That's to help some air circulation and maybe make myself feel better when I feel like I watered when I shouldn't have watered.